The first case was a doozy. A wealthy businessman found dead in his mansion, with no signs of forced entry or struggle. The police were stumped, but Amelia was hot on the trail. She made daring deductions, piecing together seemingly unrelated clues, and eventually, she revealed the killer a disgruntled employee who had been embezzling funds from the victim's company. In the bustling city of Toronto, Canada, the year was 2025. Detective Amelia Gray was a name synonymous with brilliance and deception. At 50 years old, Amelia had seen the highs and lows of her career. She was one of the best detectives to grace the city of Toronto. She got to the apex of her career, and like all professions, younger detectives started taking the stage while she got relegated to the backstage. But her insatiable thirst for recognition and admiration drove her to concoct a web of lies that would change the face of the Toronto Police Department forever. Amelia's meteoric rise to fame began in the late 1990s, with a string of high-profile cases that showcased her exceptional detective skills. She was the darling of the media, and her name was on everyone's lips. However, as the years went by, Amelia's star began to fade. She became complacent, being the go-to detective with a proven track record and massive following, and her solve rate began to dwindle. The final nail in the coffin came in 2015, when Amelia botched a high-profile murder case, allowing the killer to walk free. The backlash was severe, and Amelia found herself relegated to desk duty, a shadow of her former self. But Amelia was not one to give up easily. She spent years plotting her return to the top, and in 2025, she saw her chance. With the advent of advanced forensic technology and the increasing reliance on social media, Amelia realized that she could create the perfect crimes, ones that would baffle the police department and cement her status as a genius detective. And so, Amelia began to weave her web of deceit. She created intricate, complex cases, each one more challenging than the last. She planted evidence, manipulated witnesses, and carefully crafted clues, all designed to lead her colleagues on a wild goose chase. The first case was a doozy. A wealthy businessman found dead in his mansion, with no signs of forced entry or struggle. The police were stumped, but Amelia was hot on the trail. She made daring deductions, piecing together seemingly unrelated clues, and eventually, she revealed the killer a disgruntled employee who had been embezzling funds from the victim's company. The department was abuzz with praise for Amelia's exceptional work. She was hailed as a hero, and her name was once again on everyone's lips. But little did they know, Amelia had created the entire case herself, carefully manipulating the evidence to ensure that she would be the one to solve it. As the months went by, Amelia continued to create and solve cases, each one more complex and intriguing than the last. She became the best detective once more. Her colleagues were in awe of her abilities, and the media couldn't get enough of her. But Amelia's greatest challenge came in the form of a mysterious serial killer, dubbed the Toronto Terror. The killer was targeting young women, leaving behind a trail of cryptic clues and gruesome crime scenes. The department was stumped, and the city was gripped with fear. Amelia saw this as her crowning achievement, a case that would cement her legacy as the greatest detective of all time. She spent months creating the perfect crime scenes, planting evidence, and manipulating the investigation. And then, just as the police were about to give up, Amelia made her move. She revealed the killer's identity, a shocking twist that left everyone stunned. The department hailed her as a hero, and the city breathed a collective sigh of relief. But as Amelia basked in the glory of her triumph, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was living a lie. She had created the entire case, manipulating the evidence and the investigation to ensure that she would be the one to solve it. And as she looked out over the city, Amelia wondered how long she could keep up the charade. Would she be able to create another case, one that would top the Toronto Terror? Or would she finally be caught, her web of deceit unraveled for all to see? As the days turned into weeks, Amelia's anxiety grew. She knew that she was playing with fire, and that eventually, her lies would catch up with her. But she couldn't stop now. She was too far gone, and the thrill of the game was too intoxicating. And so, Amelia continued to create and solve cases, each one more complex and intriguing than the last. She became a master of manipulation, using her charm and intelligence to keep her colleagues and the media in the dark. But as the months turned into years, Amelia's world began to unravel. She became increasingly paranoid, convinced that someone was onto her. She started to make mistakes, small at first, but growing more significant with each passing day. And then, just as Amelia thought she had gotten away with it all, she received a mysterious message. It was a simple text, sent from an unknown number, but it sent shivers down Amelia's spine. "We know what you did," the message read, Amelia's heart racing. She tried to brush off the message as a prank, but deep down, she knew that she couldn't ignore it. She had been playing a dangerous game for too long, and now it seemed that someone had finally caught on. Amelia tried to go about her day as usual, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She kept looking over her shoulder, expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows. As the days went by, Amelia received more messages, each one more menacing than the last. She knew that she had to take action, but she didn't know where to start. One night, Amelia decided to investigate on her own. She snuck out of her apartment and made her way to the police station, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. As she crept through the empty hallways, Amelia stumbled upon a hidden room deep in the basement. Inside, she found a series of files and recordings, all detailing her own crimes. Amelia's heart sank as she realized that she had been caught. But as she looked through the files, she saw that they weren't from the police department. They were from an unknown source, someone who had been watching her every move. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered and went out. Amelia was plunged into darkness, and she heard the sound of footsteps coming from the shadows. "Who's there?" Amelia called out, trying to keep her voice steady. Just as the footsteps reached the door, the lights flickered back on. Amelia saw a figure standing in front of her, a figure she knew all too well was her former partner, Detective Jameson. He had been missing for years, and Amelia had thought he was dead. "Jameson," Amelia said, trying to process what she was seeing. "What's going on?" Jameson smiled, a cold and calculating smile. "You know exactly what's going on, Amelia," he said. "You've been playing a game, and now it's time to pay the price." Amelia's mind was racing. She knew that she had to think fast if she wanted to get out of this alive. "What do you want from me?" Amelia asked, trying to stall for time. "I want the truth," Jameson said. "I want to know why you've been creating these fake cases, and what you hope to gain from it." Amelia took a deep breath. She knew that she had to come up with a convincing story if she wanted to save herself. "I did it for the thrill," Amelia said. "I was bored with my life, and I wanted to feel alive again." Jameson raised an eyebrow. "The thrill?" he repeated. "You call ruining lives and destroying families the thrill?" Amelia shrugged. "I didn't think about it that way," she said. "I just wanted to feel important again." Jameson sighed. "You're not important, Amelia," he said. "You're just a liar and a manipulator." Amelia felt a sting from Jameson's words. She knew that she had gone too far, and now she was paying the price. "What are you going to do with me?" Amelia asked, trying to prepare herself for the worst. Jameson smiled again. "I'm going to take you down," he said. "I'm going to make sure that you pay for what you've done." Amelia closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable. She knew that she had run out of options, and now she was at Jameson's mercy. But just as Jameson was about to make his move, Amelia heard the sound of sirens outside. The police had arrived, responding to an anonymous tip. Jameson's smile faltered, and he looked at Amelia with a mixture of anger and frustration. "It looks like you're not the only one who's been playing a game," Jameson said, before turning and disappearing into the shadows. Amelia was left standing alone, wondering what had just happened. She knew that she had been given a second chance, but she also knew that she couldn't keep running forever. As the police took her away, Amelia couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Would she be able to redeem herself, or would she succumb to her own web of deceit? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: Detective Amelia Gray's game was far from over.